All right, so I am back recording the second episode of Cameo today. I am at Kamloops Innovation, and once again, this particular episode is sponsored by hikingaddiction.ca. They are looking for your GPX trail maps. You can even donate your trail maps to the project, and he will give up to $10 to the charity of your choice. So if you are a hiker, a biker, a trail runner, and you've got some maps of around Kamloops laying around, some GPXs, send it to hikingaddiction.ca. Let's get some money into our local charities. It's a fantastic thing. And leading into that now, I'm going to talk with Mike Erickson. I met him here at Kamloops Innovation Center a few months ago at the co-working table. We're back at the co-working table, and I just wanted to catch up with him because he's doing some really interesting stuff on Instagram, creating some fusion music with drums and a whole bunch of stuff. So Mike, why don't you go ahead and introduce your Instagram and your product and kind of what you're designing?
Sure. Thanks, Nevin. Thanks for having me here. Yeah, so my Instagram and my Beatnik Instagram, which is something that...
to play off a beatnik, correct?
Yeah, well, beatnik, and then also when I did some traveling when I was younger, and part of that was in Australia, and my name in Australia was Mick. There's nobody Mike there. You're always Mick, so then beatnik, I don't know,
it works.
It is what it is, but at the same time, I've always wondered if I should just use my real name. Like, how far do you get with this brand? What am I building? Anyways, Beatnik right now, it's I just started kind of posting, I don't know, a couple of years back, in order to just have a path to show my improvement. Really, that's all I wanted to do. And then having the videos as well, so I'm improving videos, I'm improving my music and overall self-confidence, really. I mean, I started and I had, imposter syndrome, like you
What's imposter syndrome?
Like when you just feel like you're not adequate. I was trying to be a drummer, and all of the drummers that I follow on Instagram are just amazing, like, way above my skill level. And so then in my head, I'm just like, well, man, what's the point? Like, who's going to want to even watch my stuff if I'm so far below? So that's it's a confidence thing, really.
So the transparency of your skill level kind of drove you to craft it? Is that what you're saying? Or
well, I had to just get over that, because I mean, how do you create anything artfully if you're worried about comparing yourself to others?
Totally.
I mean, there's a great quote: "The road to hell is paved with comparison."
I like it.
And I just found myself, and I still do find myself struggling with comparing myself and trying to, I don't know, I just have to break free and get out of my own head and my own critique of what I'm doing and just do it. And then, and once I can do that, once I can get out of the way, then I've noticed, once I give myself the space to do it, then I have all these different ideas. Everything comes flowing in, kind of like you hear writers doing that. You need space. You need to have, like, if you're stressed out, you're not going to be able to create. You need to have space in order to be creative. So I had to give myself permission, and then just through posting on Instagram, I just got more comfortable doing that. And that was, I don't know, I'd like to say probably 2 years ago I started doing that, started posting just the first videos. And then it was just, 60 seconds is the perfect length to improve videos and like come up with a concept, and then... and put it together, but it's not going to take so long to do that. And that kind of started to really stoke me and build my stoke level for making new music. I had never even made a song. Actually, before this year at Christmas, I had never written my own music, and now I have some of my videos on there. All of the most recent ones are my own music, and so I got, I'm just kind of improving, and it's a great way I can follow my progress on Instagram.
Yeah, totally. It's, I was sharing earlier before we pressed record that my Instagram was my personal Instagram before I rebranded as Cameo, and how it was the story of basically moving in with my girlfriend, who is now my wife, and how nice it is to have basically the modern photo album there.
For sure.
And and to reminisce, back to those old stories and those old experiences.
Yeah.
As you push forward and you start writing more music, what sort of emotions or things are you trying to share through your music?
I'm not trying to label work towards anything. I'm kind of just trying to give myself the space, and then when the creativity kind of shows up, and I never know when it will, I'm just trying to give myself the space in order to take advantage of that. And so I've kind of designed a life around that. Like I used to work in an engineering, I kind of had the job that I sought out to get when I went into education. My education was in civil engineering technology. So I was a drafter, basically, which is a drafter designer, and I worked for a company in town for 6 years, and then I started posting these Instagrams, and then I also read a book called The 4-Hour Workweek.
Tim Ferriss, yeah.
Tim Ferriss, and then went down kind of that rabbit hole of human optimization and life design, and that really kind of is when I started to look at everything in my life. I had 2 kids at the time. Now I have 3 kids.
Congratulations!
Thank you. Christmas baby this year. It was exciting Christmas
Oh, wow.
morning in the bath, or in our the water berth in our living room.
Oh, no way!
The kids came down, and instead of presents, there was a new baby. One of them was excited. One of them was like, "No, wait till everything's calmed down before I come out of this closet." So, yeah, it was.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, so
that's really cool.
She's got a lot to live up to as a Christmas baby. I'm just waiting for miracles to happen. But
at least you don't have to get Christmas presents
she
and
is a
birthday
miracle.
presents.
Yeah, that's
right?
right.
It's just one day.
Well, and for me, I don't have to remember. My memory's terrible. I still, whenever I get asked my second one's birthday, I'm still kind of have to struggle. Like, I think I know it now, but anyways.
You remember their names at least.
Yeah, I got their names down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm still working on that, actually.
Yeah,
I
right.
call the baby the dog's name by accident here and there.
Oh, yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah, at the park when I'm calling the wrong kid's name. Anyways, okay, so I just kind of started becoming unhappy, and then I don't know what happened, but something switched in my brain, and I finally had the confidence to quit that job. And so I didn't straight up quit. I mean, I had a good relationship with the company, and so I asked for them to fire me, so then I would get some severance, so I could actually have a little bit of security.
Yeah.
But it was a risk, man. Like, I went into that office and I asked for that to be fired, and I didn't know how that was going to go, because I mean, so that now they know I'm unhappy. I'm probably not doing the great work, and they could have easily fired me without having any severance or anything. They could have just said, "Well, see you later." Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I just thought I would sit down and be honest and true, and it ended up working out. And so I quit that job, and then the next day got offered a job to open a dispensary with an old neighbor of mine, a marijuana dispensary, and.
You must be pretty happy because you're out of that right now with what's going on in town.
Well, I mean, my views have changed drastically on that. I'm a user, and I still use it.
I am as well, so no problems there.
Yeah, but just the whole getting kind of switching from this corporate engineering kind of helping communities develop into this world of I felt like I was probably like chasing greenbacks. Like I had this idea of, if I start selling pot, then I'll make all this money, and not, and I've never made a good decision when I've thought about how much money I'm going to make rather than where my passion is. And so I did that for a while, and it was a great experience. I was using somebody else's money to build. I was the manager, and I was building this company. It was just me in there, me and another girl, and we just kind of built it up. I never stayed there long enough to get to see the fruition of my labors. I never got to the point where we broke even and then started making money. But I decided to quit that. For a number of reasons, but it wasn't jiving with my life. It didn't feel right, and I had the room. I quit the job, the engineering job, so that would have more room for creativity, and then I was doing this other thing that took away all of my time. Like I had even less time. I was doing 12-hour days, and like I said, I have kids, and kept telling my wife when I'd get home when I wasn't getting paid anything because we're just building, like, oh, it's going to get better, just wait. And it was a great learning experience. Totally. I'll say that. It was an education.
It's written right here at Kamloops Innovation Center. It's make, measure, fail, learn, make, fail harder, learn even more, make again, succeed, change everything, repeat.
Exactly, which is so great. I love that. I love fail being on there so much because that's the thing that I think I learned the most from those Tim Ferriss books, and human optimization or entrepreneurial education is just fail. I was scared to fail for so long. I don't know if it was my education or my upbringing or what it was, but the concept of failure, especially when you start having kids, just terrified me.
Oh, absolutely.
And now I don't know. I guess I failed a few times, and I'm still not great at it. It's not a comfortable thing. It's almost only in retrospect you realize what it gives you and the lessons you learn.
What's a big failure that looking back you're kind of proud of? Or is that a fair question to ask? Like, let me know if it's not.
Well, I think that maybe that dispensary thing was a failure in the way that I started leading my life down this different route without consulting my soul.
Yeah, so it was kind of a side path, of like one of those like mini episodes of Mario or whatever. That you just
totally. But at the same time, I always wanted to have my own business and be an entrepreneur, and then I was kind of doing it. So I failed myself, but I think that I succeeded in kind of taking the lessons out of that, which is, I guess, what any failure is.
Yeah, right? You took the leap. Like at least you said, hey, I'm not happy working for someone else right now. I'm going to try and work.
Yeah.
Kind of for someone else, but for myself to build this business, it just wasn't the right industry or the right business for you. So
yeah.
So have you found that balance now?
Well, so then I quit that again to my life's chagrin, or to my wife's chagrin. I mean, how many? Because I started building this
life. What's the difference at this point, right?
Yeah, well, that's right. Actually, yeah. You need one to be happy to have a happy other. So I started getting comfortable with quitting. Quit early was the motto I was living by. Like, if you start something and you realize it's not for you, quit, because it's a waste of time. There's a human condition to kind of keep pursuing those tasks just because you've put all this time and effort in, because you think somehow if you quit at that time, then that was all a waste. But really, if the longer you stay in that is the failure, you need to quit soon. So,
but that's not the case in your music, because your music brings something out in you that drives you to just make the next song and the next ditty or whatever you're driving towards.
Yeah, and so music for me is just my release. That's kind of my meditation. It's what, if I've done music that day, then I feel like I've had a good day.
Totally, I get what you're saying. Like it's just like a reset button.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. But also it's hard. Like I say, I have 3 kids. Anyway, let me just keep going down the path. So I quit the dispensary job. And then, so I quit one job and the universe kind of gave me another job. And then I quit this dispensary job and the universe gave me another job. I had my old engineering firm called me up and said, hey, we heard you're looking for work right now. Can you just do some freelance drafting for us? And, I said, yeah, well, sure, I'm looking for something to do. And then, so that just turned into kind of my, excuse the word, my side hustle. I hate that word, but it kind of turned into I viewed it as my side hustle anyways. Now it's my company. I have my own freelance drafting business, and it's great. I work out of my office at home, and I'm still working out the kinks as to where I fit my music in, but I do have it scheduled every day. I have something to do. I have music scheduled. I have exercise scheduled. I have work scheduled. I don't work as much now that I work for myself, because I find when I'm working for myself, I'm way more productive. When you're in an office in the cubicle and you have 8 hours of work to do,
You stretch it out.
You stretch it out. I think there's statistics. It's like 50% of that time people are working, maybe less. I've heard like 30%, and I don't know how they get those numbers, but I believe it. That's how I felt when I was working in the engineering firm. And now that I'm working for myself, when I'm in front of that computer doing the work, I'm pretty good. I feel like I'm pretty efficient. So that has cut down on that time, and that's opened up more time to be creative. I do lots more work with video now and trying to get better at video. And then, what an amazing time to learn any skills. Like, I'm on Udemy learning doing new courses all the time for video production, sound production, website design, like all these things that I'm trying to get better at so that I can have more channels of income, really. So I can build up, keep designing my life to have more free time to do the things I want to do. It's funny. I used to think I had no work ethic when I was working in the office in the corporate world. And the reality is, now that I'm working for myself, I'm working the whole day. If I'm not, with a kid, which I'm also home, so I get to drop off my girl at school. Layla, she's 6 years old, and so she's in kindergarten now. And it was always my dream to be able to drop her off at kindergarten and pick her up afterwards. It's just something you're part of the life that's going on. So that's incorporated into my day. There's the music, but I'm just going the whole time, and it's always going towards the kind of goals that I set, both long-term and short-term. You just continually work towards them.
Totally. I actually, and you'll agree, let me know if you agree with me, but it's like the universe, when you have something in your heart, the universe starts making things happen. Before I was here, I was up at TRU interviewing Yasir, and he then started questioning me about the microphones. And I'm like, you know what? I like this one because of this reason, blah, 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 blah. And I had some time to burn between interviews, so I went to Big Don's Autopon. And what did I find? I found the exact microphone I'm talking into right now,
right, for
$45 rather than the $130 Best Buy wants, right?
Yeah.
So, it's missing a few things, but I bought it and I texted this year. I'm like, I found you a microphone. Record me 6 episodes. Please do this. And so he's hopefully gonna contribute to this project. But that was just like I want to make radio happen in a new way. Yeah. And, Yasir is such an amazing speaker. He's a Toastmaster.
Yeah, okay.
And so just to give him a platform to actually talk, and then having the universe find that microphone for me, right?
Oh, it's so true. And I think that, I think you're spot on, but you have to be open to it. Like, you almost, I don't know, when my second kid was born, the night that she was born, we had 2 home births. We tried our first tried to be a home birth, but it didn't work out. Her heartbeat got too high, so we went to the hospital. But the second and third were at home, and when my second one was born, 2 hours after she was born, I collapsed and thought I was having a heart attack and went to the hospital. I had an anxiety attack. I didn't know what an anxiety attack. I never had one before. Or actually, in retrospect, I had the one before, but I couldn't label it. I didn't know what it was. And since that time, I kind of had to, I guess that was the first time I realized I was broken. Mm-hmm. And we're all broken. We all need therapy. Everyone, there's nobody who gets out of childhood without things that are in their head that, need some work, need some attention. And so that was the first time that, I just came out of my 20s where you're indestructible, and had my second kid, was still trying to build this other life I saw for myself, but it hadn't even really begun yet. And I hadn't dealt with my own anxiety issue that I had. So I had to start dealing with that. And so part of the way I dealt with that was through meditation, and going down that road, it kind of opened me up to a spirituality that I was kind of atheist, kind of a militant atheist through my 20s. Like I'm really kind of embarrassed about like some of the conversations I had. But,
Hey, that's totally fair.
right? That's what your 20s are for, almost.
Yeah. I know where you're coming from, so I can relate.
Right, but then I found through meditation, I just felt like I found a connectedness to the universe, through the lack of a better word. And I hear that being called God. Like, that is my version of God, is just the universe and everything. And I think that if you give yourself the room to breathe and like sit in silence, and know yourself, it gives you signs all the time of like the best things to do or what to do next in life. It's just hard to sometimes see them depending on my anxiety level. Like, as soon as that spikes, then I just become tunnel visioned in whatever I'm doing. I just keep doing that rather than looking for different avenues. And
yeah, my wife's saying that I'm a one-track mind, and so I kind of shut out opportunities. But that one-track mind also has, lets me recognize the opportunities as well, right? But to find that balance, right? Moderation is something I know nothing about, right?
Yeah, and that's the same with me. Actually, I don't know what came first with me, if it was drumming and then ADD, or ADD and then drumming kind of satisfied that ADD. But definitely they kind of go hand in hand, playing the drums. And... well, actually, do you know any drummers? They're always tapping on things.
Well, that's interesting, because actually I was talking with Tim Schultz of Kamloops this week.
Okay.
He says if we go back 20 years and re-diagnose all the people who were diagnosed with ADHD, there's a high chance they would actually have autism.
Oh, right. Be on the spectrum.
And
you
so
say
like,
on the
so like,
spectrum.
yeah. So like, I wouldn't be surprised, but like, I find myself tapping or grooving is my own sort of thing. Right.
Yeah.
And so, my wife thinks I have ADD because, I'm always thinking about the next thing, got to be go, right?
Yeah. And you know what? It gets thrown around so much, and I've never been diagnosed with ADD, so I don't want to not recognize it. There's some people out there that actually have, they have to take medication for it or whatever. Although I'm a firm believer that a lot of medications can be replaced with meditation and exercise.
Well, there's a lot of, I think, biohacking principles that people should consider and see if it works for them.
For sure.
And, if it doesn't work for them, they should definitely involve their doctor throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
Right. I was very open with my doctor that I use cannabis, that I won't be changing her cannabis. And if she could sign this paper, that'd be great. If not, it's still happening.
Yeah.
And, at no point as, she's asked me to change it. Right. But she acknowledges that, as per the Canadian law, you're not supposed to diagnose someone under 25. And at the time when I asked, I was under 25. Right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
But I use biohacking to test, hey, does this actually contribute to my life in a positive way? And at what point should I recognize that it doesn't, right? And then finding that balance line with my wife, right, is a hard part, especially having a new kid, right?
Because she's kind of not...
It's still, yeah, she's not a fan of the smell or if you take it too far, right? And finding that balance, right?
I think that we all grow up with this, like, deep down, almost all of us feel like it's this evil thing just because of how we grew up. It's illegal, and the people who do it are losers, and like all this stuff. Like, it's kind of ingrained in our system.
Totally.
You can tell I have ADD. We just jump around and go down these tangents or whatever.
Hey, that's totally fine. Like, I like rabbit holes. Right. Like, I think not a lot of people chase rabbit holes as intensely as they should.
Sure, yeah.
And I'm actually going to kind of maybe wrap up this podcast because I've pushed it longer than I typically do. But I guess to give a plug to Kamloops Innovation Center, who's allowed me to go down some crazy rabbit holes.
Yeah.
And actually, Kimberly was like asking, like, do you want a room, or is there anything we can do, right, to accommodate this podcast, right? And I'm like, no, I want to be at the co-working table. But if you have any questions about business development, where to start, how do you start going down this rabbit hole, but still have options open to see where the rabbit hole takes you, because it might not be where you think you're going, come check out Kamloops Innovation Center and hang out with them. They'll help you along. And so, Mike, where can people find you, and what are some parting words that you kind of want to share with the audience members of Cameo?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at BeatMick, Beatmik01. That's Beatmik01. And Facebook, Mike Erickson. There's also a Beatmik Facebook business page.
And a YouTube channel. I think there's a YouTube channel.
And a YouTube. Yeah. Go to my YouTube channel. Actually, that's what I'm going to start really focusing on, the YouTube channel. Now that I've kind of got comfortable being on video, now it's time to make a bit longer, do a bit more content on there. So I'm really excited about that stuff in the future. And then there's also beatmik.ca. I mean, you can find me if you look hard enough. If you need any drafting done, it's deliberatedesigns.ca. You can find me there. There's also, my website, I don't even think it's online right now. I talked about how I try to do website design. I didn't get far enough to make it.
You know what? If you're getting word of mouth customers anyways, like that's the best customers.
Oh yeah. And I'm at a point where I don't want to, I shouldn't say that. Well, I love new customers, but I don't need them right now.
You're balancing the work-life sort of
That's
thing.
Right.
Yeah, I get it.
So I mean, if you want to find me, you can, and please do come say hello. I love to talk. I teach drums as well, if you're interested in that. So I have a nice kind of jam spot in my backyard. So give me a holler. Parting words. Oh man, I think that probably the best thing is just, really try to learn, listen to yourself. And if you're not happy, change. There's one of my favorite bands is a band out of Vancouver. They're a pretty heavy band called Ninja Spy, and he says before one of his songs, if you're not happy with your life, change your life. And I think that it is that simple. Like, it doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. And I think that once you make a few moves to change that, you'll be surprised by what happens. And at the same time, don't be afraid to fail afterwards. So I say all that, and I'm struggling with it too. I feel like kind of another imposter syndrome again, because I say this stuff, but I don't always necessarily live that if I was to critique my own life. But I try to aim towards that, and I try to live that as an example for my kids right now, just so that they're not afraid to fail, because I think that that's how we've kind of raised our kids in the past, and I think that we can do better in the future.
Awesome. Well, thanks for spending the time with me today, and remember to make, measure, fail, learn, make, fail harder, learn even more, make again, succeed, change everything, repeat, because that's what I'm doing with this podcast. It's been an incredible journey. I'm really hoping a couple plans come through, and if they do, I'll be sharing that news with you. Be sure to find me on iTunes, Play Music. I am on Breaker.audio, which is a cool iPhone app. Spotify. I'm also on Spotify. I'm out there just as much as Beatmik is. So if you want to find us, please do. Follow along. And if you like it, please reach out. Let us know what you think. Anyways, till next episode, have a great day, and I hope you tune in. Cheers.